Welcome back to Lucid, a thought experiment in consciousness. This is episode 5, Why Dream at All. We have traveled far together through this thought experiment. Episode 1, Consciousness is Primordial. We discovered the levels: source, entity, soul, corporeal, and the conscious self. And we recognize that a deeper intelligence is helping you breathe, running your body, orchestrating systems that you don't consciously control. Episode 2, All is Metaphor. We learned that the soul speaks through your body, emotion, circumstances, synchronicities. Physical reality is a symbolic language, consciousness communicating with itself. And episode 3, You, I, Everything, is Source. We explored the radical presupposition that there's only one consciousness, experiencing itself through infinite forms. Separation is both real and illusory, depending upon which level you're viewing from. Episode 4, The Conscious Self is a Partner in Creation. We reframe the ego not as an enemy, but as the focus lens through which Source experiences this specific life. The partnership between conscious self and the soul is where conscious co-creation happens. Today, we arrive at the deepest question, one that, when answered, makes everything else make sense. Why? Why? Why does Source do any of this? Why the separation? Why the limitation? Why the forgetting? Why create the conscious self at all? This is our fifth and final presupposition. All of this is driven by value fulfillment. Now, let's explore what that means. But first, let me ask you something personal. Why do you create anything? Why do you paint or write? Why do you make music? Why do you build something? Why do you start a business? Why do you have children? Why do you make love? Or why do you plant a garden? Take a moment and really ask yourself, why? The answer might vary. Maybe it's to express something, or to experience something, to see what's possible, to become more, to connect, to discover, because something in me wants to. Now, a deeper question. Is there an endpoint? Is there a moment where you say, you know what? Okay, I'm done. I have created enough. I've experienced enough. I've grown enough. I never need to create or experience or become anything ever again. No. Even rest is temporary. Even satisfaction contains the seeds of the next desire. There is something inherent in consciousness in you that wants to keep experiencing, expressing, and expanding. Not towards some final goal, not towards perfection or completion. Just more. Richer, and deeper, and in new directions, in infinite directions. This is value fulfillment. It is the inherent drive of consciousness to experience, express, and expand itself, not because it's lacking anything, and not because it's incomplete. No, it's because that is what consciousness does. That is its nature. Consciousness doesn't just sit still. It doesn't reach a point and stop. It creates, it explores, it becomes. And value fulfillment is the engine, the why, behind everything. At every level, Source seeks to fulfill its value by experiencing itself in infinite ways. The entity seeks to fulfill its value by exploring a specific stream of consciousness. The soul seeks to fulfill its value by managing physical form and guiding experience. The conscious self seeks to fulfill its value by making choices, by focusing attention and discovering and creating. Even the corporeal body seeks to fulfill its value by maintaining itself, healing, and expressing its vitality. Everything, I mean everything, is moving towards its own value fulfillment. Now, let's get specific. Let's talk about Source. As a unified, unlimited, infinite consciousness, what does it actually lack? Well, Source is everything. It knows everything because, well, it is everything. It's unlimited, it's eternal, it is complete. So what can it not experience? Limitation. Unlimited consciousness can't experience what it's like to be limited without becoming limited. Surprise. If you know everything, what can surprise you? What can you discover that you don't already know? Discovery. If you know all the possibilities simultaneously, you can't experience the journey from not knowing to knowing, from seeking to finding. Choice. If you're everything, what is there to choose between? Choice requires options that feel genuinely different, genuinely separate. Relationship. If there's no other, who do you relate to? How do you experience connection, conflict, love, misunderstanding, or recognition? Time. Well, if you're eternal, if all moments exist simultaneously, you can't experience sequential unfolding. The joy of what happens next, the anticipation, the memory, the arc of a story. Growth. If you're already complete, what is there to become? How do you experience the satisfaction of developing, learning, and expanding into something that you weren't before? Overcoming. If there's no obstacles, there's no challenges, there's no resistance, where is the triumph? The satisfaction of working through something difficult. Not knowing. This might be the deepest one. If you know everything, you can't experience the vulnerability, the humility, the openness of genuine, I don't know. All of these experiences, limitation, surprise, discovery, choice, relationship, time, growth, overcoming, not knowing, these are valuable. They create richness, they create depth, texture, and meaning. And Source cannot experience them without creating the structure that we've been exploring. So Source creates entity. Why? Well, to experience individuated consciousness, to explore what it's like to be a specific stream of awareness, rather than all awareness at once. Entity creates soul. Why? Well, to experience connection to the physical form, to begin the process of limitation, to explore what it's like to manage a body, to communicate through metaphor, to guide experience from a deeper level. The soul creates the conscious self. Why? Well, to experience genuine limitation, genuine forgetting, genuine separation, to create a focal point that truly believes it's alone, it's mortal, it's separate, and limited. Because there's the only way to experience discovery is through choice and growth and surprise, the joy of finding your way back to what you never actually left. Each level is Source fulfilling its value by exploring new dimensions of experience. This reframes everything about the fall, the separation, the forgetting. It's not a mistake, it's not sin, it's not something to fix. It is the gift. The separation is how Source gives itself the experience of reunion. The forgetting is how Source gives itself the experience of remembering. The limitation is how Source gives itself the experience of expansion. The not knowing is how Source gives itself the experience of discovery. You, as the conscious self, believing that you are separate, limited, mortal, struggling to figure it all out, that's not a problem to solve. That is the value being fulfilled. That is the being, the purpose of it. That is the experience that Source wanted and wants to have. So here's what this means for you practically right now. Your struggles have value, not because they're teaching you a lesson, although they might be. And it's not because you'll be rewarded later for enduring them, although growth happens. But because the struggle itself, the experience of working through the difficulty, of not knowing, of choosing how to respond, that's valuable in itself. Your confusion does have value because confusion is the space of not knowing, and not knowing is a state that unified consciousness cannot experience. Your desires have value because desire is the soul's way of pointing toward what wants to be experienced, explored, and created next. Your mistakes have value because mistakes create new information. They generate outcomes that did not exist before. And they teach you things that you couldn't learn any other way. Your joy has value, obviously. Joy is value fulfillment in its purest form. The recognition that, yes, this is what I came here for. But also, your grief has value. Your anger has value. Your fear has value. Because all of it, and I mean all of it, is Source experiencing what it cannot experience as a unified, unlimited consciousness. All of it feeds back. All of it enriches the whole. So remember our framework, the levels. We have Source, entity, soul, corporeal, and the conscious self. That's the out breath. That's the creating. That's the dividing. That is the limiting. But here is the in breath. The conscious self experiences. The soul integrates. The entity understands. And Source expands. So every choice that you make, every experience that you have, every moment of awareness, that gets fed back. This is not metaphorically. It actually gets fed back to Source, just like all rivers go back to the ocean. Your life is creating new data, new experience, new patterns that did not exist before. Even though Source knows everything, it has never been this person making this choice in this moment and feeling this feeling. That is new, and that is value. And it feeds back to your soul, to your entity, to Source, and enriching the whole. So you're not just experiencing life for yourself. You're experiencing life as Source, feeding richness back to the infinite consciousness that generated you. Your life matters not because of what you accomplish or how spiritual you become. Your life matters because it exists, because it is unique, because it generates experience that has never existed before. So let's turn back to our central metaphor, the dream. Why do you dream at all? Well, scientists have theories. You're processing information, you're consolidating memory, you're problem solving. But experientially, why does consciousness create these elaborate scenarios? Because dreams let you explore what you can't experience while you are awake. You can fly. You can meet the dead. You can be someone else. You can visit impossible places. You can feel emotions at extremes that you wouldn't access in waking life. Dreams are consciousness exploring, playing, experimenting with possibilities. In waking life, well, waking life is Source doing the same thing. Source dreams physical reality to experience what unlimited consciousness cannot. Limitation, time, separation, choice, relationship, growth, discovery, surprise. The dream character, the conscious self, genuinely doesn't know it's dreaming. That is the whole point. Because if you knew you were dreaming the whole time, well, the experience wouldn't be the same. The stakes would not feel real, and the choices wouldn't matter. The discoveries would not surprise you. You have to forget in order to remember. You have to believe that you are separate in order to experience reunion. You have to believe that you're lost in order to experience being found. That's why Source dreams the dream of separation at all, for the value of the experience. Here's what value fulfillment is not. It is not about reaching some perfect final state. It's not about getting it right. It's not about transcending the physical and returning to pure spirit. And it's not about escaping the dream. Value fulfillment is about experience, about expression, about expansion, in infinite directions, forever. There is no endpoint. There is no graduation. There's no moment where Source says, okay, I'm done. I've learned everything. I've experienced everything. There's no need for me to create anymore. No, because consciousness doesn't work that way. Consciousness creates because that is what it does. And every creation generates new possibilities, new questions, new desires, new directions to explore. Your life doesn't have to be perfect to have value. Your choices don't have to be right to matter. You don't have to ascend or awaken or achieve enlightenment for your existence to be worthwhile. You just have to live fully as whatever you are, making whatever choices you make and experiencing whatever you experience. That is the value. That is the fulfillment, and that's the point. Do you see what this means? You're not here to get it perfect. You're not here to fix yourself. You're not here to transcend your humanity. You're here to be human, fully human. And that means being messy. It means being imperfect. You're here to explore what it's like to be you. The specific focal point of consciousness in this body in this time with these circumstances. Your desires, trust them. They're pointing toward what wants to be experienced next. Your struggles, they are valuable because they're generating new information, new growth, and new richness. Your mistakes, well, they were never failures. They're not failures. They are experiments. They are Source exploring what happens if. Your joy, well, follow it. That is the clearest signal of value fulfillment in action. Your pain, well, it matters, and it's real, and it's part of the spectrum of experience that Source wants to explore. All of it, every bit of it, has value. Now, with the understanding of value fulfillment, the partnership between conscious self and the soul becomes even clearer. The soul knows the big picture. It's connected to entity and Source. It has access to information the conscious self does not. So if the soul arranges circumstances or sends intuition, creates synchronicities, and communicates through the body and emotions, all in service of value fulfillment. The soul is trying to guide the conscious self towards experiences that will fulfill the value of this life, this incarnation, this exploration. But, and this is crucial, the soul cannot force, because if it forced, there would be no genuine choice, no genuine discovery, no genuine not knowing. And those experiences are the value. So the soul invites, it suggests, and it arranges opportunities. And then the conscious self chooses. It can make a conscious or unconscious choice. Sometimes the conscious self listens to the soul's guidance and it moves in alignments, and then a flow happens. Synchronicity happens, and things, they just feel right. And then sometimes the conscious self, it ignores the guidance and it moves against the soul's directions. Resistance happens. Things feel off. This is considered to be friction. But here's the secret. Both of them have value. Even the resistance, even the friction, even going the wrong way, because resistance teaches you what misalignment feels like. It generates a contrast. It clarifies what you don't want, which helps you understand what you do want. Even your mistakes are fulfilling value. The goal is not perfection. The goal is experience. So let's tie all of this together. You are source. You are also an entity, a soul, a corporeal body, and a conscious self. You are all of these levels simultaneously. And you are here in the physical form, in this specific life, believing that you are separate, because this experience has value. The value is not in transcending this experience. The value is this experience. Source didn't make a mistake when it created separation. Source didn't make a mistake when it created you. You, exactly as you are, with all of your confusion and desire and struggle and joy, are Source fulfilling its value. You are exploring what Source cannot explore or experience as a unified consciousness. What is it like to be limited? What is it like to not know? What is it like to choose? What is it like to discover? What is it like to grow? And what is it like to love someone who feels genuinely other? What is it like to overcome? And what is it like to create something that never existed before? All of it, every moment, has value. For this final week, for this, just for now, just for this episode, I want you to try something. Live as your life has inherent value. Not because of what you accomplish, not because of how spiritual you become, and not because of how much you get it right, but only because you exist, because you are Source, experiencing what it's like to be you. Notice your desires and ask, what value wants to be fulfilled here? Notice your struggles and ask, what's valuable about this experience, even though it's difficult? Notice your joy and think, this is value fulfillment in action. And at the end of each day, instead of judging yourself for what you did or didn't do, simply acknowledge, today I existed. I experienced. I made choices. I felt. I explored. That has value. I am Source fulfilling my value by being me. So here is the complete thought experiment of our original 5 presuppositions together. Consciousness is primordial. It comes first. There are levels. source, entity, so, soul, conscious self, and corporeal, and they are all nested within each other. All is a metaphor. Physical reality is a symbolic language. The soul speaks through the body. Emotion, circumstance, synchronicity. Everything is meaningful. You, I, everything is source. There is only one consciousness exploring itself through infinite forms. Separation is both real and an illusion. The conscious self is a partner in creation. The ego is not the enemy. It is the focused lens. It is the partnership between the conscious self and the soul, and it is where conscious co-creation happens. All of this is driven by value fulfillment, the inherent drive of consciousness to express, to experience, and to expand itself. That is why Source dreams the dream of separation at all, for the value of the experience. You are not here to fix yourself. You are not here to transcend yourself. You are not here to get it perfect. You are here to live fully, imperfectly, and uniquely. You are Source, dreaming the dream of being you. And every moment, every struggle, every joy, every choice, every discovery is Source fulfilling its value. Your life is not a problem to solve. Your life is value being fulfilled. Right now, right here, exactly how you are. This is Lucid, a thought experiment in consciousness. Thank you for walking through this thought experiment with me. Now, remember, you don't have to believe any of this, but maybe, just maybe, try living as if it's true and see what happens. See what opens. See what becomes possible when you remember that you are the dream character who can become lucid. You are the wave who is also the ocean. You are Source, exploring what it's like to forget that you're Source. So you can remember again and again in infinite ways forever, because that's the dream. And you are dreaming it right now.